Welcome to the Black Empowerment Hub podcast. I'm your guest host, Jacqueline Malone, CEO of Blind Resistance Clothing Brand, where our tagline, For the Culture, by the Culture, represents our commitment to empowerment, sustainability, and uplifting underserved Black communities. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so you'll always be in the loop for our next episodes. Today, we're diving into a story that intertwines resilience and creativity in fashion. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this short message.
This episode is brought to you by the Support Black Excellence Foundation and their Support Excellence Initiative. At the Support Black Excellence Foundation, we're on a mission to foster a brighter future for all, particularly in underserved Black communities. Through strategic partnerships, mentorship programs, community service projects, and financial initiatives, we are committed to driving meaningful change where it's needed most. We invite you to join us in this remarkable journey of progress and transformation. Together, we can turn our vision into a reality. Let's shape a future that is equitable and inclusive, where empowerment, elevation, and excellence intersect to create a legacy of positive change. Thank you to the Support Black Excellence Foundation and their Support Excellence Initiative for sponsoring this podcast.
Welcome back to the Black Empowerment Hub podcast. Our guest today is Clyde Scott, husband, father, owner of Pro Focus Photography, and the visionary behind Focus on Fashion, an initiative that's reshaping the fashion scene in Northwest Indiana. Clyde's journey from overcoming a life-changing stroke to launching Pressure on the Runway Fashion Show is truly inspiring. This event will be held November 16th at the Mainstage Theater at Indiana University Northwest in Gary, Indiana. Tickets are on sale now at getfocusedonfashion.com. Don't miss this truly inspiring event dedicated to stroke awareness. Clyde, we are so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. You know, I'm not only your podcast host today, but also a proud supporter and vendor at the upcoming Pressure on the Runway Fashion Show. As someone deeply passionate about initiatives that uplift our community, I'm thrilled to be involved in this event, both behind the scenes and on the ground. But today isn't about me. It's all about you, and we can't wait to dive into your wonderful background. I love to start this podcast off with an icebreaker question. And
Sure.
a little birdie told me that you consider your photography a form of art. If you could create a stunning photo shoot for any historical figure or celebrity, who would it be, and what artistic vision would you bring to that project?
Whoa. I would love to photograph and recreate a photograph of the Obamas.
Ooh.
I would love to place them on top of a globe with their entire family because I feel like the power that they displayed, their power and their excellence took over the world. So my dream couple would be to photograph them. And I really feel like Gary now has their own Michelle and Barack. With the campaign and the mayoral people, Eddie Milton and his wife, I feel like we have our own Baracks and Michelle right here. I do.
I want to talk deeper about that because I know you just got a great mention from the First Lady, which is an amazing thing. So congratulations on that.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
She spoke so eloquently about you as well. I mentioned up top about resilience with you, and you know, your journey from recovering after a stroke in 2020 is remarkable. We talked a bit about your recovery, and I was very inspired just to hear how that how that came about. So how did that challenge reshape your vision for life itself?
Going through something so traumatic gave me an appreciation of people, of loving people, of wanting to enrich people's lives, wanting to be a activist for health, wanting to be a person that had the ability to tell people about my traumatic experience and what I went through and be able to help them prevent going through what I went through. When it occurred and I came home and I was able to talk, I called everybody throughout my phone and told them how much I loved them, how much I cared for them. They were like, "We know you love us." I said, "No, but I was almost not here. So I want you to know that I love you now. So if I'm not here, I want you to hear it from me that I love you and care about you." I probably did that to about 100 people.
Wow. So how did that challenging part of your recovery as a fashion photographer impact you performing your art?
A little bit of a backstory. I am the chief housing officer for a real estate company by the name of JHT Real Estate Organization. I could not do my active duties with that. I couldn't take on any bookings for doing photography. I didn't share with the world what I went through, so I stayed hidden. I didn't want to go in public. I didn't want people to see me, and my wife would try to take me places, and because I wasn't walking properly and I wasn't talking properly, I didn't want to do those things. It was an embarrassment.
Mm.
It was so emotional that I didn't want to do anything and I didn't want anyone to see me because I felt like all the eyes were on me. I felt like everywhere I went, people were watching me and they were looking at the way that I walk and they were looking at the slope and they were looking, I couldn't hold my hands up. And it was just like, I felt like a noodle because you have no movement of your body normally that you can control. You can't really control anything. At a split second, when I'm walking, my legs would give way and I would fall to the floor just like suddenly without no warning, without no expectation. And as a man, we are so used to being able to take care of people and be a safety net and a blanket for our wife and for our family. We would go places and now my wife had to protect me. My wife had to be my security. And for me to give her that was really tough as a man because I'm like, if something occurs or someone tries to harm my wife, now she has to protect us. And that was hard. It was really hard.
That's right. And your wife is Jacqueline Scott. In her own right, is a wonderful makeup artist. I've seen some of her work, and
Thank you.
to hear you talk about her and how she supported you during a time where you felt like you could not do the normal duties as a man or as a professional. I look at you today, you wouldn't even be able to tell that you've been through something so traumatic as that. What was the push or the thing that actually took you over to that next step?
A very praying wife,
Mm.
a very praying family, very loving sisters. My family was such a intricate part of my recovery because everybody devoted their time and checking on me, making sure I was okay. Was it tough on my wife? It was extremely tough. It was extremely hard on her, and I know that. But I would ask my wife, like, you don't have to stay with me. You can move on. And I'd be okay with that because I know I'm not able to do the things I would normally do. And you feel like at that point you want people just to give up on you because you're really giving up on yourself. And my wife kept saying, she said, "No, we have vows we have to honor. And now is the time where for better or worse, for richer or poor, for sickness and health. She said, I have to honor my vows that I gave you. And she did that.
Yep, absolutely. And that is exactly what was going through my mind as you were stating those words. I said, but the vows say in
Yeah.
sickness and health, and that you will honor each other in that time. And it is said that some couples do not honor those vows, but when you have a praying wife at home and a stable relationship, a wife that will not give up on her husband, nor a husband will give up on a wife, I think that is incredible. And I have to commend both of you, and I have to just state for being African American couple at that, to have that type of support of each other is a great representative of how marriage should be, honestly, because it's not the good times. Anybody can operate in the good times, but it is when you come to those struggles, those tough times that really make the difference, and the things that challenge your marriage and the strength of it, and that's love.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about diversity and inclusivity and social change, but I still want to keep with the stroke awareness piece, because your platform raises awareness for causes like stroke prevention. How do you integrate these social messages into your fashion events? I mean, the obvious could be why it's important to you, but a lot of people go through different challenges, but they don't make it a cause where they go off and do service around it. So why is that become so important for you to bring it to a platform such as your show?
So it's kind of a thing that I look at with children. I opened up a Bible with my grandson, and there were pictures inside of the Bible. And I was able to tell him some stories off the pictures about how Jesus Christ did this and how God did this, and he was so amazed. And this was right after my stroke. And I said, I want to show people something and tell them something about what I went through. And I asked God, how do I do it? And God showed me a way and a method to educate people. I have shot some of the top models in the industry. I have photographed some of the most beautiful people. So I took my thought of what I did with my grandson in that Bible, and I said, here's a trickery that I can use. I can get them to come out and see these amazing models, and I can educate them through fashion.
Mm.
And what implemented the focused on fashion is pro focus photography. And from that point, I said, I need to have a name to title this show. And the one thing that tried to take me out of here was my blood pressure. So I implemented the name Pressure on the Runway. So when people come to the shows, they see the entertainers, they see the models, but there's a piece in the show where there's medical staff that come out on the stage and they educate people on stroke prevention, on bettering their health, on bettering themselves, how to prevent going through a tragedy that I went through myself. And I got that. We are visual people. You can't give someone a pamphlet and say, read this. This is going to teach you how to better yourself. The models come out and people are so locked in on the models. And then a split second, a doctor will walk on the stage and educate them. And because I have their attention through the show, I have their attention on the education as well.
Wow. And I didn't even know that backstory about the pressure piece.
You checked your blood pressure lately?
Oh yeah, I even on my phone, my watch.
So my blood pressure when I had the stroke was 285 over 69.
Wow.
That was my number. And I wouldn't have
Wow.
known that if things hadn't change. My body movements didn't change. I couldn't talk. I couldn't walk. And think about it. If I didn't find that out, how much more damage it would have done to me. So I tell people, get a checkup. Check your blood pressure regularly. Check your health. I am on a quest for us, the world, the nation, to take better care of yourself. That's my goal.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful goal, Clyde. We think about things that happen to us in our lifetimes, and sometimes we say, why me? But why not us? Because what we do with it is what's important after. It is not the thing we're going through. You know, what do we say? You can't have a testimony without a test. And so you're able now, yeah, to just tell the world your testimony. And through that, you also are healing people. You're informing them. You're bringing awareness to, which I sometimes believe that God takes us through certain things because he has this job for us to do. This is what I'm ordaining for you to do. And I give you fashion. I give you photography. I give you these platforms because I want you to talk about this, because I want the people to come and you to give this message and then praise me on top of it. I always tend to go into God on everything. So,
That's a true
but
statement, though.
I link everything back to all of that. When I hear these stories, when I'm doing this podcast and I hear these fantastic stories and of overcoming and hope and inspiration, and it has to be God behind it to set you up and then let you go.
I just pointed up. I believe that God had to show me how powerful he was. I believe my tragedy was him saying, listen, I need you to sit down. I need you to take better care of yourself. If you want to be here for your wife, you got to do better. And I really believe that God set me down for a minute and rebuilt me. I have never been the version of myself that I am now. I am the best version of myself in my entire life that I am now. I can
Wow.
look in the mirror and be proud of the man I'm looking at. I wasn't able to do that. And God rebuilt me into something great. And I don't want to keep that greatness that he gave me to myself.
How would you describe yourself today? What are some good adjectives that he has created you to be out of this?
A truly God-fearing man.
Mm.
I know his presence. I know the power he possesses. I have became this ultimate lover of life, this extreme humanitarian that I was not before, that I value the love of family, of people. I tell people I love you that I have no knowledge of, because I feel like me telling that person I love you, or that hug or that embrace, is something that can alter their life. And I feel like I have so much love within me that I exchange that to them.
And it's really just gratefulness. A lot of times we're so in the hustle and bustle of life that we don't take time to sit back, breathe, and be grateful. We're so busy trying to reach this goal, reach that goal, or move here, move there, and then we don't even realize the damage we're doing to ourselves with stress, anxiety, and we don't go to the doctor, and we don't get the mental health treatment we need from therapy or whatever it is. We don't know how to relax, and then something happens to us. And we haven't spent the time to just breathe and say, wait, let me love the people around me. Let me love the trees, the grass, whatever it is, and just take a moment. And that in itself is healing. And we don't know that until we come to some challenge such as this. I'm thankful in one way that you overcame and healed, but you're taking it even a step further, because I do believe in that reaching out to community, reaching out to folks, and I do believe in loving one another and giving back. And I think what you're doing is divine, and it is on the path of God, and is on the path of just embracing the world and people. And so I really think that's one of the big reasons why we're here and what we should be doing. So diversity and inclusivity are central to Focus on Fashion. How do you ensure that these values are reflected on the runway shows?
Well, when the models are selected to walk the runway, when the staff is selected, I bring on people that share the same love and passion for people that I do. And I don't mean it being one race, one gender, everyone. You will see so many different cultures in the show. You will see so many different races, so many different shapes, sizes of people. You will see people from the local community where I'm from. You will see people from the Ukraine. You're never going to know who's going to walk on the runway, because I want to show people how we can put so many beautiful people together in one show and make it amazing. So diversity is something I thrive off of.
Yeah. And it sounds beautiful. I mean, it really does. You know, you think about the rainbow, a mixture of colors, a mixture of different tones and lights of beauty. And that's who we really are as a people. And
Yeah,
I am glad that you're showcasing us in such a way. I think it's important for everybody to see that. I honor that a lot. Let's talk about the birth of where this show is going to be. Focus on Fashion, Gary, Indiana.
here it is.
I was born and raised in Gary, Indiana. A lot of people may not know that about me. I'm in Chicago now. You know, coming up in Gary, it was thriving for me. It was a beautiful way of life, and it was a lot going on. But I will say that over the years, I have seen the decline of certain areas in Gary, which is hurtful to me in going back on visits and things like that, because some of my more cherished memories growing up are no longer there for me to see. But what attracted me so much to you in this show, knowing that you are from Chicago and the south side of Chicago, but you're in Gary now, and you're putting this show on in Gary, bringing fashion platform to Gary, which excites me. So why do you choose Gary, Indiana to launch Focus on Fashion, especially considering your roots and your experience in more significant fashion scenes?
Get that question out of everyone that talks to me, and I always answer it with the same response. Why not Gary? I live here. When I moved from Chicago to Gary, or actually when I moved from the city that I was in Indiana to Gary, Gary was so embracing. I would drive down the street and I would see people wave at me. They would say hello, they would say hi. They didn't know who I was, but they waved. And coming from Chicago, we lost that essence of family, of the children playing outside and the neighbor down the street barbecuing, and the kids were playing and running from house to house. And Gary gave me that feel of the old school neighborhood love. That's what I felt within the city of Gary. Gary embraces people that want to be embraced. If you don't like the city of Gary, Gary understands that and doesn't force itself upon you. But if you want to be a part of Gary, Gary will allow you to be a part of it.
That is absolutely true. And, I mentioned growing up there, and that mentality of how you described it doesn't leave us. We're all still the same, no matter what, no matter where we go. I don't care how big we get, our career, wherever our careers take us, or whatever that is, we still embody that quality, and it is a heart of love, and it's a heart of embracing. Uh, we very much are like that. You have described Gary very well, and the people of Gary very well. And no matter what, I'm proud of being from Gary, Indiana. And I know the trueness, not what people try to project on the outside and the media of it, but I know the truth of what it actually embodies and its heart. Some of the best folks have come out of that area. What kind of impact do you hope to have on the local creative community in Northwest Indiana?
So my goal for Northwest Indiana and Gary is to get the fashion community back excited about the city of Gary, to help the business owners thrive again, to help the culture, to have Broadway be one of the busiest streets of Gary where the fashion scene was. There was a time where you could walk down Broadway and it was people shopping from store to store, where it was a literally retail hub right on Broadway near the Genesis Center. It was a retail hub. I saw an old school photograph that showed Gary back in time where how busy it was on the streets of Broadway. And I want that to be recreated, because if that's recreated, the real estate investors, the people to build up in the city, they're going to come, because if the business industry is thriving in Gary, other people are going to want to be in our city. They're going to want to come here and be a part of what we're doing.
I absolutely agree. And I can remember growing up in a time like that. I saw older pictures as well, like when my parents were coming, and it was even more robust. I remember seeing like my uncles and everyone come from Atlanta, Georgia to Gary, because Gary was the happening spot. Everyone was moving to Gary, Indiana, and due to the local steel mills and things like that. And so it was very much of a thriving institution. And so I commend you on trying to get that back, and we're here for you.
You're a great support system, and I thank you for that. You are.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So let's talk about, let's say, fashion industry. So how has the fashion industry actually evolved in smaller cities like Gary? I mean, you've been working in fashion so much, and you've kind of seen this evolution, even slight is progress, right? So how have you seen that evolution since you've been there and doing your work in Gary?
I've seen where basically we get things later in Gary and surrounding areas than other cities. So I did a retail test where I went to Chicago and I went to a retail store there, and I saw a pair of shoes in that store. I went to that same that same chain in Indiana, in Maryville, and I went to that same store. That shoe hadn't made it there yet. We're behind the times of things reaching us. I'm hoping to build where things have to come here first, because they're going to want to be a part of the market that we're building here. And we're not so behind the times where we're seeing things a year after they've reached other cities and other areas. I want fashion to be here where other fashion vendors have to come to our city to get what they need.
What do you think is the catalyst behind that delay?
I think the catalyst behind that delay is that we're looked at as the country. Like, they're not going to want that. They don't need that. Why get it there? But right now, there's nowhere within our city for the retail chains to market their product. We don't have that here. We don't have the stores here. There's nothing to be able to place it here. So all of our people from within Gary, they are shopping in surrounding areas. Chicago, Maryville, Indiana, Michigan City. why not be able to leave your home in Gary, Indiana, and go to the mall, go to the store, go to the retail chain that you want to shop at, and it'd be right in your city?
Yeah, I understand that too from owning my own apparel company. I understand that on the business side of it. Where's the market? Where's the target market? Where's the business? Am I going to make capital here? Or am I going to lose capital here? So I understand that, but it does take someone to see the vision and to invest in it and build it up. There's even neighborhoods within Illinois that have been rebuilt. Real estate, for instance, that's huge.
Yes.
They have taken those neighborhoods and redefined it. And now there's some of the most sought after areas, which were once maybe like project homes or whatnot there and declining areas. But now they have rebuilt them. Now they have townhomes costing $500,000 or more to move in there. So it can be done, but it just takes dedication and someone with a great vision and who will stick with it, because I think it will be challenging into convincing others that, yes, Gary is a great place to invest in. And it really is. And
It
it
is.
doesn't take much. So let's move a little bit to your artistic vision and that photography that you call art.
Sure.
I had the opportunity of seeing your photography. I went to your website, Pro Focus Photography, and I was blown away, Clyde. And when it popped on the screen, I said, "Wow!" It's how you captured the individuals, the skin tone, the even the makeup. And I want to confirm this: your wife, Jacqueline, did she do the makeup for all of the models?
All of my images are done by my wife, and how I found out that, so I used to actually hire different makeup artists. And my daughter, she came to me one day, she says, Dad, why are you getting other people to do makeup? You know, mom does makeup. I'm like,
Wow.
huh? So I never knew this. My wife looked over at my daughter like, shh. So I said, so you know how to do makeup? She goes, yes, I do. And she said, I said, why didn't you tell me? She said, because I didn't think that my caliber of makeup would be to your standards of what you're looking for. And her makeup work took my photography career to another level. It
Mm.
actually made it even better. And I never called myself a professional photographer, but a hobbyist that loves the art of photography, because I have such a passion for it and a love for it. It's my vice. I can
Yeah.
pick up a camera and any problem that I'm experiencing, it disappears when that camera's in my
Wow.
hand. That's the
Wow.
power that it has.
Yeah,
And
that passion.
correct, correct.
What's your process for capturing fashion, and how does that differ for traditional fashion? Because, commercial is let's sell something, it's very different.
I feel like the world is full of walking billboards. I feel like people are so beautiful. I do. And I think I'll be in the grocery store and I'll tell someone, you look like you should be photographed. They'll look at me crazily. I'm like, who are you? I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm a photographer. Um, okay. And I might get that person to come into the studio and I photograph them and I show them something about themselves that they've never seen before. And I'll recreate them and make them look the way that I feel they should really look. It's
Yeah.
a recreation of art. They're already art. I just allow God to guide me to make them look a way they want to.
Wow. So that is, I guess with that answer, it may somewhat answer my next question, which was going to be about storytelling, because that's what it sounded like to me. You're creating that story of who they really are. in that picture, and that, as you're even going through, I suppose, the process of taking the photo, how they're posed and things of that sort. I can see it in my head already. The creative process in which you might take just from your answer. I can envision that. Do you have artistic influences that inspire you to do the work that you do?
Picasso.
I don't know why, but I knew you were going to say that. That's, yeah,
Picasso. I
yeah.
feel
Okay.
like I have the ability to use my lens as a brush. I feel like I'm painting, so I don't feel like a photographer. I feel like a painter because I
Wow.
feel like the movement of the angles I'm creating, the zooming in on the face, the capturing the beautiful eye. I feel like an artist, and I don't feel like a photography studio is a studio. I feel like it's an artist studio. I feel like there's paint all over the floor and paint all over the walls, and I walk into the middle of chaos and create beauty.
Wow. That's God. That's Genesis.
You
you
are correct.
know,
You are correct.
he took chaos and made, cosmos. Like he took the darkness and made light. You're creating. Well, we're made in the same image and likeness as he. And so you are just utilizing that gift within. That's amazing. I'm so inspired to hear that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about fashion show experience and future vision. Let's dive into that. So each of your fashion shows, they're carefully curated experience. I can hear that from your tone and what you've already stated. I can imagine how you're very thoughtfully putting these things together. Can you walk us through your selection of, let's say, designers and models and themes for your runway events? We talked a little bit already about some of those things, but when you're sitting down and saying, what do I want to do next? How do you kind of go through putting those pieces together in your mind?
Well, it takes an amazing team of people that I've developed around me. And I have some great people that help put this together. So it's almost like I'm able to sit back and see my dream and my vision through the help and the effort of others. And when I sign off on a designer or when I sign off on a model, I look at, am I giving that person an opportunity that would have not been given to them? So when I select designers, I want to be that guy that shows the world, look what this person done. Even on down to look at the age of this person that's a designer. Speaking of you, I am so amazed by the young man that's 15 years old
Yeah.
that literally took his teenage life and set it aside to recreate art and has a passion. And I had a chance to speak with him. He was so passionate about what he's doing at
For
15.
the viewers, who Clyde is talking about is Matthew Bell. He's the CEO of 14th Pharaoh Apparel. Through Clyde's wonderful platform and focus on fashion and pressure on the runway, he now has the opportunity to showcase and debut his new Renoya collection. We do want to thank you because he is one of the mentees from our organization. We asked him, what goal do you want to reach? What's the ultimate at the end of your mentoring? He said, I wanted to put on a fashion show. I want to debut my designs. And lo and behold, we thought we were going to hit next year for it. But in 6 months at the end of his mentorship, here you come. It all just kind of falls in line. It's actually very incredible. The story, I have to sit down and tell you the whole story at one point, but it's really fascinating how that happened and how you just, like, God was like delivered to us in so many ways, I want to say. So let's see, looking ahead. So do you have any plans to expand focus on fashion beyond Northwest Indiana? Or is keeping it local essential to your mission and vision?
So I keep getting the question, are you going to do this in other cities? Are you going to go to other areas? And I want to take care of home before that ever happens. I want home to be a platform that has changed and turned great. I do want to tell the world about my mission about stroke recovery and stroke awareness, but I want the world to witness it and it to be originated from the city of Gary.
What advice would you give to aspiring fashion photographers, models, or creatives trying to make an impact in smaller or underrepresented communities?
If you have the ability to see it and dream it, it can be accomplished. And it was put in my head, and I said, okay, no one's going to be receptive to little old me. I'm the little guy that was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, moved to Gary. I'm just that little guy. And to be making the impact on people that I'm making, I would have never saw that. It was unseen and unheard of. I couldn't see myself for that. So I say that to say, if you have the ability, the activity of your limbs, you have the vocal speech, you have the able to walk, able to talk, whatever you want to accomplish, you can do. Don't allow anyone to tell you, oh, you're from here, you're never going to leave here, you can't do this. Do not utilize the word you can't. Utilize the word you can.
Inspiring and correct. I co-sign that 1000%. Looking back at your journey so far, what are you most proud of in terms of focus on fashion? Or, that you've achieved personally, artistically, or for the community? So, what are you most proud of?
I reached a milestone in my dream and my focus of what I'm doing when I had the mayor's wife sit down and give me her stamp of approval on the show. That was so amazing. When Crystal Milton sat and talked about the show and how she's so excited about it, I felt like that was my sign off.
Mm.
That was my sign off, where I'd reached a point where I have the approval of the city that I so love. And that's what I've been reaching for, is that I wanted Gary to be receptive for what I was trying to do.
It's really a great confirmation to you that you are going in the right direction. You're moving in the right direction. People are being receptive to that and taking notice of it. And to have the first lady, and the mayor to be involved in such a way and to say, we're proud of this for our city. I'm getting chills now thinking about that. For those listening to and inspired by your story and the incredible work you're doing, how can they get involved and support your initiative?
I have had so many volunteers and so many people that want to be involved. If you want to be a part of the cause and what we're doing, go to getfocusedonfashion.com, submit me an email. I will respond back to you. If you're looking to be a part, if you want to be a part of being the staff, one of the volunteers, I welcome it. If you, whatever level that you want to play a role in, if you want to support the American Heart Foundation, if you want to support the American Stroke Association, these are the platforms that I'm helping to build. The American Stroke Association, they are so supportive of what I'm building, of what I'm trying to do. This market doesn't have a lot of people that are pushing for stroke awareness. It's something that it's a silent killer, and people don't really know that within a split second it can occur. So if you want to be a part of helping me to push this cause, please reach out. And I am very receptive to people that want to help and be a part.
Can they also donate through your site?
If you go to the link for sponsorship and you submit the sponsorship form, someone will reach back out to you in whatever form of sponsorship that you want to do. It's not all about monetary either. There are other ways to support if you don't have the monetary value. So if someone will reach out to you, find out how you can help and find out how you can play a part.
Okay. And then I talked a little at the top about how to get tickets for your show, Pressure on the Runway. Yes. I'm going to throw it to you. Give your best pitch to get folks to come and sit in those seats. It's on you now. Go for it.
So we are looking to bring out everyone within the city of Gary and abroad. Go to getfocusedonfashion.com, click on the ticket link, grab your tickets today. They are selling out. But I want you not to miss this event. I want you to be able to see everything that we are talking about on this podcast come into the essence of what it's being created for. I want to see you there. So come out, see the show, see the models, hear the education, live entertainers. We have put some of the best entertainment into the show. I can't give you any snippets or any pieces, but it's going to take so many turns and revolve right back around to something beautiful. So be there. I want to see you in the seats, and I want you to stay focused on fashion.
Wow. Woo-hoo. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Well,
I'm
Clyde,
excited
it's
to be there.
I'm you have no idea how excited I am. We are just absolutely thrilled for this. Clyde, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Your work with Pro Focus Photography, Focus on Fashion, and the Pressure on the Runway Fashion Show is inspiring and impactful. Thank you for sharing your journey, resilience, and mission with our listeners. To everyone tuning in, I'm excited to be part of this incredible event. If you're in the area, I encourage you to come on out, experience Pressure on the Runway, a vibrant showcase of cultural diversity and creative talent that's putting Gary, Indiana on the fashion map. Be sure to stop by and visit me at the Blind Resistance brand booth. Let's keep supporting fashion that makes a difference. You can learn more at getfocusedonfashion.com. That's focused with an ED. Remember, your support also helps raise awareness for stroke prevention. Thank you for joining us on the Black Empowerment Hub podcast. Stay empowered, stay involved, and always remember, real change starts with community. Bye.